Adequate notice of this October the 9th, 2014 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. Roll call.
Roll call. Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasa. Here. Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Okay, would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, once again, I make my apologies. The committee ran a little bit over in the conference session. And this time, we have a presentation.
No one's here.
That one, Joe?
We do.
This is a presentation of proclamation of the Township Committee declaring the month of November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Hanover Township. We do have a proclamation. This is a dreaded disease, and we'd like to recognize it. Joe, you want to read it by title, or you want to?
One by title, so no
Yeah.
one's here.
Go ahead.
This is a proclamation of the Township Committee declaring the month of November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Hanover Township. We can say that the following pancreatic cancer, as the mayor said, is one of the deadliest cancers and is currently the 4th leading cause of cancer death in the United States and is projected to become the 2nd leading cause of cancer by 2020. Pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate in the single digits at just 6%. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation is approved.
See that that's delivered to
Yes.
the representative.
Yes.
Gentlemen, at this time in the meeting, I'd like to open it to the public. Motion to open.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee at this time, please do so from the podium and shout, because our sound system doesn't work. And give us your name and address for the record.
Judy Irani, 43 Locust Drive, Hanover Township. I received the Hanover Happenings autumn edition of the newsletter today, and thank you very much. It's very informative. And I just had a couple of questions, clarifications perhaps, because I also don't like misleading information, getting around. So there's just a couple of clarifications I wanted with this newsletter. And the one area it says, and this is concerning the quick check. It says the quick check will pay the entire cost for road improvements on Route 10 and South Jefferson Road. It says the road improvement plan has been reviewed and is in compliance with the NJDOT. I just wanted to ask if the, can you hear me?
Speak a little louder, Judy.
You're asking about the quick check and who's going to pay for the road improvements.
It
The
says
article in Hanover Happenings says the quick check's going to pay the full amount. I think that's what Mr. Ravi's questioning, whether it's paid.
So, I believe in order to be in compliance and get the DOT's permission, they have to extend the merging lane past South Jefferson Road. Is that correct, Sean?
He's required.
Yeah.
So they have to extend it past Jefferson Road. Who's going to pick up the costs for that?
That is all of the costs for the off-track and on-track improvements to the roads are quick checks. The township isn't going to go to the taxpayers for a dime. Now, I will say this, that there is an opportunity for us to look at this side of the road. In other words, the township municipal building side of the road. And we are seeing now with Papermill Drive and now with Town Hall Drive, etc., problems of congestion on this end. And traffic backs up, and it's very difficult now, we know, for our own employees to get out of here at night. My point there is part of the state DOT plan was a taking of an aisle on the township side. In other words, it would put an extra third lane in with an additional lane that would take about 15 feet from the town hall building, make the turn onto 10, and then go up. And that was part of the improvement plan that we saw that was incorporated with the South Jefferson side. Do we want to go ahead with that plan? I think we want to look at the numbers. We sent a quick check in some conversations that we had with them that we might want to engage them in a traffic study on this side and or giving some recommendations for what kind of improvements. The last hearing, if you were at the last hearing, you might have heard my comments to quick check about signalization and whether or not it would improve the intersection here on our side. They testified to that. But let me go back. I digress. Let me go back to your question. They are responsible for all the widening on 10, on their XL, VCL into their property. They are responsible for the widening and realignment of South Jefferson. And by the way, I came into an EDAC meeting this past Friday, jumping for joy, because the box was left open, and actually, people from Ukraine were allowed into the queue. So I jumped up and down to see that it's working. Beyond that, on the road improvement, my recommendation too is that while they're in the process of the road improvement, Ukraine Drive is a crater. It's a mess. And my recommendation is that they be responsible for repaving Ukraine all the way down to Malfunction and getting that done too. So it's all on their dime.
But let me clarify, the section of the merging lane back onto Route 10, which would be east of South Jefferson Road, which would include taking part of the Ukrainian church property and probably part of the bicycle shop, that is, all those costs are going to be borne by QuickCheck.
To my knowledge, yes.
Now, let me clarify. East of the existing jug handle, so we all get our property. We have a bicycle shop and we have Montdelise. The thinking is that easterly from that point, that there would be a third lane added, if that could be accomplished. And the thought is that third lane would be supported by money that would have come from off-track improvements that have been assessed that the township has retained. So we would not be going to taxpayers for money for that, but if that were to happen, part of that expansion plan, that's what I think might
What about the section from South Jefferson to the jug handle?
The church property?
Under the DOT plan, if that side of the street, let's call it that side of the street. Let's take the church down to the bicycle shop down to Mondelez. The original plan calls for a 15-foot taking of the church property on Jefferson to widen that road there. It creates now 3 lanes going northbound. And it also called for the three lanes from Jefferson going northbound if they take the church property. And it also calls for an improvement on the jug handle, making it 2-way, so that you can make the right-hand turn onto 10 without having to go to the corner. And then there's a taking in the front of the church, which goes down past the bicycle. That's part of the DOT plan. Hasn't it been talked about yet? Until somebody comes forward with the uses for the balance of the church property and down, I don't think we're going to address it. But I'll tell you this, if it does come in, and there's a proposal for a concept for that side under the new retail zoning, that'll be their responsibility. That'll be the developer's responsibility on the off-track improvements.
Okay, so to clarify, if the DOT's approval is contingent upon them extending the I guess it would be, past the lane, it would be an acceleration lane, or the third lane. If the DOT's was contingent upon the approval of that, would Quick Check then have to build it
Would
and
Quick
pay
Check
for
have
it?
to?
Because the state's not
I
going to
think
do it, they
Quick
don't have
Check's,
money.
I think Quick Check's out of the picture, if in fact they get approved for this use and they do their roads. In other words,
Mayor, one thing, I think we have to be mindful of the fact that this is a pending application before the planning board right now.
right,
Mr. Ratty just put her head down because if, members here are sitting on the planning board, if the outcome were, and it all dictated from this conversation, the applicant would turn around and say, well, there was a hearing going on that we weren't present at, et cetera. So a lot of these concerns, I mean, you can certainly make any comments you want, but we have to be careful about what our response is because members of this governing body, such as the mayor, sit on the planning board, and I don't want to jeopardize that application.
well understood, well said. That's why I say if, should, could, the hearing is ongoing. And you're certainly there, and they're good, relevant questions to ask. But what I would say this, taking the brand Quick Check out of this equation for a moment, whatever the off-track improvements are from the development of Tony's Tavern, etc., stay with that piece of property. Future development down 10 will have their own responsibilities to road improvements and off-track improvements. That's the way we've always done business, and/or we've taken escrows, for this, which we've got.
Okay, well, I'll just make a comment. I think that the DOT is not going to allow them to have their access in and out unless they extend that third lane, which is now an acceleration lane, past South Jefferson. If that's the case, and the DOT doesn't have the money to make the improvements, and the town certainly is not going to have that money to make those improvements, then they will not potentially get their okay from the DOT. That was what I was getting at.
If you're correct in that the DOT does not seem to have deep pockets, and I can only say that the township's prepared with escrow funds that we've been holding from other developers in the town who we've made responsible for improvements to various intersections. We've got a certain amount of that money, as you know, and we're willing to bring that up, with any developer that's going to be working in this area and any road improvement they need, as long as it's consistent too with the DOT plan for this intersection. I mean, that's why even with this applicant, we didn't want to move forward on the application. We're not moving forward on the hearing until we got word from the DOT that it was something acceptable to them. Otherwise, it wasn't even worth us starting the hearing on.
Okay, and then there's one other question that I had, and that's about zone changes. And in the newsletter, it says that it talks about zone changes and multifamily housing, and how the Township Committee will not endorse such proposals as it contains a rental component. This is on the one of the properties. It's either South Campus or Eden Lane, and it kind of indicates that you're not going to make any zone changes for multifamily housing. Now, the South Campus, or what is half of the old Lucent property on Whippany Road, what is that currently zoned for, John?
OBRL.
So that's office use. So there's no housing allowed on that site right now.
That's right.
So, this newsletter indicates that you would not be obliged to vote for any zone change that would have a component of multifamily housing in it. So, is that correct, John? You would not vote for a zone change for multifamily housing on a site that doesn't contain multifamily housing now?
The newsletter is as written.
Well, that's why I'm questioning it, because I can't understand it. And if I was on the planning board and the township committee and I can't understand it, perhaps the general public might not be able to understand it either. So could you clarify that for me?
The only clarification I can tell you is that it's zoned for OBRL, like any zone, anywhere. That's its current zoning. If in the event the township committee in its assessment believes that that zoning should change, that's the only way that zoning would change. We know the planning board can't change the zone.
They make the recommendation.
Right, they can recommend, but only the township committee can change zone, regardless of what piece of property.
So let me give my own opinion. It's OBRL, which is Office Research Lab, and half of it Bayer had acquired as a corporate headquarters, and they were just an excellent neighbor, an excellent rateable neighbor. In the past, when we ran into financial difficulties, if we had jumped on the wagon, rezoned it, and allowed multifamily housing, we'd have a real mess now. So, with the corporate neighbor of Bayer, there's a great potential, that's an excellent piece of land, for another corporate entity to come in and relocate there. So what I'm saying is, in my opinion, don't rezone that, leave it as office OBRL. I mean, it's a great site. I'd hate to see like mixed-use multifamily housing when it's not really needed there. And also on the Eden Lane site, that probably already has a multifamily housing component in it. But that was actually years ago was talked about as having kind of a mini town center. And that whole area of the river is so beautiful that if you could have shops along the river, and even I would not oppose the shops along the river with a residential on the top like they would have in the middle of Madison or something like that. That would just put this town on the map, so to say. So I'm asking you to relay this to the EDAC committee to go out there, beat the bushes, get a company that might want to come in if it's okay with the property owner, and if it's something that can be done, is to go out there, to get this company to come in and develop that property as like more of an open space, put shops, little entertainment along the river, little restaurants, and it would be actually a really beautiful thing. So those two things I would like you to convey over to Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning board is treating these Fred, I'm sorry.
Just say for the record, the property presently is zoned for that use.
OBRL.
Well, no, I'm talking about the river park.
Yeah.
It's zoned for that mixed use component. It is zoned for a town type center. And, you know, what came of that was rezoned in 2004. And what came of that was a challenge by the property owner because they just wanted too many residential units, and the township committee would agree to that. But that zone is still in place today. There's a settlement which would call for, you know, less of a town, well, it still has the town center, but essentially that would be an overlay, and they could build for a settlement some senior units and an industrial use, but no other type of use. But right now, as it presently stands, that property owner has had all this time to go out and actually develop the site exactly. That it was supposed to be a place where you could work, live, and have recreation. And that's how it's zoned. It just has never been taken advantage of by the property owner. Just for the record.
Well, I'm saying don't leave it up to the property owner. If we had EDAC looking for a company, there's companies all around the country that build these type of places. If EDAC could go out and search for this type of a company, bring them in, introduce them to the developer, maybe then she would, the developer, the property owner would be more receptive. I know there's been so many site plans, and so many extensions, and so many zone changes on that property, I have no idea what's going on down there.
That's what it is.
But they have also approved site plans on that property. But if you could bring in a company like that and build something like that, it'll be excellent.
There are many things that are afoot right now. You're absolutely correct in the value of this property, OBRL, office building related. Bayer has been a wonderful neighbor, and they're doing exactly, in my opinion, what I thought they would do, and they're attracting other neighbors. Economic Development Committee is reviewing all the interest on that property. But what I won't have us do, or the committee do, or either hopefully the planning board and the director do, is commit ourselves too early on any aspect of this property. There are many attractive proposals. I can tell Hanover that there are many attractive proposals for this use. We're going to cherry pick. We're going to get the best. And we're in a position to do that. Council reminds us that present use of a town center on that River Park property is presently there. But we went to court on that. That was 1,500 residential units at the time they wanted. That wasn't going to happen, and it didn't. We have a court settlement on that. We have a court signed settlement on that. And it calls for senior housing units, 140 of those, flex buildings, and 20 acres of the land to be given to the township above the dam, as you remember, for Central Park. So we're rather firm in wanting that settlement to stand. That's the way we are. Okay. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none? Seeing none, motion closed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you. We have the approval of the Township Committee minutes of September 24th, 2014, September 25th. A motion by Mr. Bruno, second by Mr. Capola. Roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mosca.
I'm going to abstain from that vote.
Okay. We have one abstention by Mr. Mosca. Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francino.
Aye.
On communications, ladies and gentlemen, we have a letter that I received on September 30th from Dr. Van Worden, and it reads as follows. I write this letter to announce my formal retirement from the Township of Hanover Health Department as Health Officer Environmental Specialist, Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics, Registered Environmental Health Specialist, Health Educator, and Secretary of the Board of Health, effective February 1st, 2015. My last day of employment with the Township will be January 31st, 2015. This was a very difficult decision for me to make. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for the opportunities and experiences I had working with the Township. I've enjoyed my 33+ years of employment with the Township and will miss you and my coworkers when my retirement comes. Please know that I will assist you in the search for my replacement and will do my best to make the transition to the new health officer as smooth as possible. Please feel free to contact me if you need additional information. I will schedule a meeting with Ms. Johnston shortly to finalize the details of my retirement. Sincerely, George Van Worden, Health Officer, Environmental Specialist. As in keeping with the Township's policy, do we have a motion to accept this letter of retirement?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mosca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Franciola.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have departmental reports as follows. They include the report of Ms. Johnston, the Township's Human Resource Specialist. We have the reports from Mr. Ferran, Superintendent, Public Works, Buildings and Grounds, and Park Maintenance, dealing with all activities of the department during the month of September. Chief of Police has submitted his report of all activities of the Police Department during the month of September. Construction official has done likewise with a report of all building inspections, construction permits that have been issued, certificates of occupancy for the month of September, and we have the report of the property maintenance officer on the issuance of all property maintenance and zoning notices for the month of September. We continue, ladies and gentlemen. We have two ordinances for public hearing, consideration and adoption. The first is docketed as ordinance number 38-2014, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending and supplementing various provisions concerning fences and walls. We have a notice from the Morris County Planning Department that the ordinance was filed accordingly in accordance with the municipal land use law. We have notified all municipalities contiguous to Hanover Township of the proposed ordinance. The ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the September 19th issue of the Daily Record. Finally, we have a letter from the Township's Planning Board, once again in accordance with the review procedure in the municipal land use law. The Planning Board has given its letter of recommendation that ordinance number 38-14 should be adopted following the public hearing. So at this time, may we have a motion to convene the public hearing? So moved by Mr. Ramaska, seconded by Mr. Capola. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance number 38-2014? Seeing none, hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Capola to close the public hearing, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance of the Township Committee, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending and supplementing various provisions concerning fences and walls, passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the October 16th issue of the Daily Record pursuant to law. May we have a motion for adoption?
Second.
So moved by Mr. Farmaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farmaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Signature. And we continue, ladies and gentlemen, with ordinance number 39-2014, also a land use and development ordinance. This ordinance amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, amending the permitted uses in the IB3 zone district. We have the notice from the Morris County Department of Planning and Development that in accordance with the municipal land use law, the ordinance was filed with the Planning Board. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the September 19th issue of the Daily Record. Finally, we have the report and recommendation from the Township's Planning Board. And having reviewed the ordinance, they recommend that the Township Committee adopt ordinance number 39-14. So at this time, may we have a motion to convene the public hearing?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Farmaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for a public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farmaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance 39-14? Seeing none, hearing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Mr. Capola, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call to close the public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farmaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance of the Township Committee, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending the permitted uses in the IB3 zone district, be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the October 16th issue of the Daily Record. We now have a motion on adoption. So moved. So moved by Mr. Farmaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Farmaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one ordinance for introduction this evening, docketed as ordinance number 41-2014. It's an ordinance of the Township Committee authorizing the acquisition of 940 Route 10, located in the Whitney section of the Township. It's also designated as Lot 4 and Lot 9001, set forth on the tax map of the Township, and further authorizes the appropriation of $140,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund of 2014 and all prior years. This property is also known as the Hardy property, which is located directly next to Bogey's Restaurant. This ordinance, as a capital ordinance, will be further considered for public hearing and final passage at the Township Committee meeting on the 13th of November at 8:30 p.m. here in the main meeting room. And at that time, any person wishing to be heard concerning the ordinance will be given the opportunity to be heard. The ordinance and the notice of introduction will be published in full in the October 16th issue of the Daily Record. May we now have a motion on introduction? So moved by Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Capola. On introduction, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola. And Mr. Franciulli.
Aye.
So introduced, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, next order of business is the consent agenda of resolutions, which you find on page 2. We have resolutions A through H, and resolution H is as follows. This afternoon at 3 o'clock, the business administrator and an associate from Mr. Samrow's office, along with the assistant business administrator and also the superintendent of public works, reviewed the submission that we received today on the removal of the township's fresh uncomposted leaves. We had 2 submissions. The first submission was B. Brucey Jr. and Son, submitted a quotation of $7.77 per cubic yard, and that would be not to exceed 19,000. Just wait for 1 minute. It's $19,240. Let me just get my paper inside so we don't let record. $7.77 per cubic yard, total amount not to exceed $93,240. The second quotation was received from S. Rotundi and Sons at $8.17 per cubic yard, for a total not to exceed $98,040. Therefore, the award is made to B. Brucey and Sons, LLC, in the amount of $7.77 per cubic yard, and that's not to exceed $93,240. Are there any questions concerning any of the resolutions?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion approved by Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Capola. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Franciulli.
Aye.
So approved. As we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we have raffle applications, 27, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, and 82A, which is an amendment to application 2782. Are there any questions about any of the raffle applications?
Move to be approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Capola, second by Mr. Bruno, and roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Franciulli. And finally, the payment of bills, $4,434,901.43.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Capola,
Second.
second by Mr. Firmasco. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Firmasco.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francione.
Aye.
So approved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor?
Okay. Gentlemen, is there any other business from the Township Committee at this time?
Two items, if I may, very brief. First of all, the dial-a-ride van, which was ordered back in May, and we anticipated taking delivery in September. We were told by the manufacturer we probably wouldn't be taking delivery until late December, maybe early January. So I guess the dial-a-ride van that we have so anxiously anticipated is now going to become a Christmas present. Unfortunately, there's no alternative to back out of the contract or go with another vendor, so we just have to grin and bear it with the delays. But I just want to reassure everyone who was expecting the van to be online in time for fall shopping season that it is on its way, but we probably won't get it going until January. Also a reminder that leaf pickup in front of residential homes does not begin until Monday the 13th. Especially with some rain in the forecast over the next few days, and I know leaves are starting to accumulate on the properties, so we'd ask that homeowners and or their landscapers do not put the leaves out to curbside prior to Monday, because obviously they won't be getting to every house on Monday. So please refrain, put them in the woods or put them in bags someplace, but keep them off the streets until beginning on Monday. Thank you.
Good point.
They're all outside my house.
Bring more with George's house.
George, anything?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to note on the landmark commission with the burial yard, they actually had a tour scheduled for Saturday, and the heavy rain that fell on the graves distracted exactly none of the 24 visitors that the Morris County Tourist Bureau signed up. They huddled under umbrellas, and actually it's called the 297-year-old burial yard, to listen to Vivian Cohen, Agnes Loughlin, Mark Sika, and most of all Mr. Don Cazoo, the Hanover Township historian, who spoke all about the burial yard itself, and the Landmark Commission actually participating. They wore their costume, which really added to the day. There was also a segment with the presence of Mr. and Mrs. Dick Kitchell. Dick is 15th generation of his family, more or less, to live in Hanover. I have a number of pictures here of the actual display that the Landmark Commission now has put in the front of the, as you walk into the burial yard, which shows a history. It's a beautiful, beautiful display. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to put it up on the website. It actually shows the history of the burial yard, a map of the trail. There's actually a trail that goes through, and they're all marked with a map. And it also has on the bottom veterans that are buried in that burial yard. The Landmark Commission has done a fantastic job of redoing that whole burial yard to make it very attractive and part of the Tourist Bureau in Morris County. I want to thank the whole commission for the great job they've done on that. And I want to thank the committee, because without the committee's support, that could not have happened. They had provided us with the revenues that the Landmark needed to purchase something. If you ever get, anyone wants to see it that walks up here, it's really beautiful. If you ever get a chance, stop down as soon as you walk in. There's this huge display that's weatherproof, that shows where everything is, and shows you how you can follow the trail. It tells you where each gravesite is located. And for that, I thank the Landmark, the committee very much for their support on behalf of the commission. Thank you.
That really is beautifully done, really nicely done.
Really is.
They did a fantastic job on that, that's great.
And now is the nice time to go, because the leaves the colors are perfect. It's a perfect time to go if you get a chance.
I'm just fascinated with the fact that Hanover Beverly Tram was working for quite a long time. I don't know what progress was made in trying to get that a historic site, not just in Jersey, but on the federal level. They still working for that? Yeah?
It is already.
Already,
Yeah.
they got there. they finally
Bob Kelly really started the ball rolling,
pushed
and
it.
the commission now really moved forward with it, so,
That's fantastic.
thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Very good. Tom?
Mr. Mayor, just a quick one on engineering. Road repair, infrastructure remains a top priority within Hanover Township. And during the month of October, 5 roads are being worked on in terms of resurfacing. Eden Lane from Whitney Road to its easterly terminus, Smithfield Drive will be worked upon, Dogwood Lane will be worked upon, Apple Tree Lane is currently underway, as well as Fanwick Road and North Pond Road. Concludes my report.
Just one quick one, Mayor. The School and Park Traffic Safety Advisory Committee put together a Halloween safety message with the Hanover Township Police Department and the school system. It's on the school website. I believe it's going to be on the municipal website. I found out yesterday that they're going to hand out a flyer to every child that attends the Malapartis Masquerade with our safety tips on it for Halloween. Halloween is on a Friday, so our message goes out to the parents and the children. Also, we shared it with East Hanover Schools. They immediately shared it with their chief of police. They like it. They asked us if we can borrow it. We said, absolutely, your kids are our kids. So at the next meeting, which will be prior to Halloween, I'd like to bring it, maybe read it into the minutes. And once again, the Township Committee has been great. We've been working together lockstep on this issue, and we believe Hanover Township is getting much safer, and we're beginning to lead by example with our young kids. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. The shred day is going to be Saturday, October 11th at 10 Ridgedale Avenue at Employment Horizons, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Now that's, let's see, I don't know how they were working that. Were they working that where they were charging you for so much shredding?
You get 30 pounds. 30 pounds are free. Is that how it
30
works?
pounds is free.
30 pounds are free.
After that, you pay a nominal fee, I think, for that. So it's very, very worthy.
Now, was that true that you had the record 2 years ago? I reported that on the school board of ed meeting because I did hear that.
Yeah.
Well, they put a limit in place.
I think I might have had about 6 or 7 cartons of records. My God.
I'd like to add a point. I missed it with the whole burial lot, and I want to thank engineering and Brian Ferran and the Parks Department, Superintendent of Public Works. They had a lot to do with getting everything ready on this. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Goes without saying that we are wishes are for the health and improvement of our health officer, certified financial officer. Silvio Esposito took ill this past weekend and was hospitalized, and he is home now. I'm happy to say, reports that we have that he's doing well. They've found out what the issues were. I'm glad to say that he is recovering well, and we hope to see him back at his desk course of next week, something that Tuesday. That's good. But Silvio, I wish you well, and know you're happy to be back home. We certainly, as a township committee, want to wish everybody a very, very happy Columbus Day. Enjoy it. Hope the weather's good. Good parade as usual in East Hanover. They do a phenomenal job bringing in the am I going to pronounce this right? Cabanari from Italy. Very colorful, a lot of pomp and circumstance. If you have an opportunity to get down there on their Ridgedale Avenue, not ours, to see it, you should do so. It should be a wonderful, wonderful occasion. So, on that note, I'd like to once again open the meeting to the floor.
Second.
Open, all right. Floor is now open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time, please again do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none, hearing none, motion for close. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Motion for adjourned.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Okay. Can I sign all this?
garbage?
I just have one question.
Sure.
Is landmark